The water was so cold it burned. Caroline Bennett was 7 months pregnant with quadruplets when she walked into her bathroom and found her husband's mistress standing next to a bathtub filled with ice. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mistake. This was premeditated murder. Justine Harper had researched it. Cold water immersion. 7 months pregnant. The shock would cause miscarriage, maybe even kill the mother. The perfect crime. Carolyn fought. But pregnant with 4 babies, she was slow, heavy, helpless. Justine pushed her under, held her down. Carolyn was drowning, dying. 4 babies dying with her, then something impossible happened. One of the babies kicked. So hard, Caroline gasped. So strong, she found the strength to fight back. That kick saved 5 lives. But the betrayal went deeper than anyone imagined, and the fight for justice was just beginning. This is the true story of survival, betrayal, and the mother who refused to die. Stay with me. You need to hear this. The water was so cold it burned. Caroline Bennett fumbled with her keys at the front door, 7 months pregnant with quadruplets. Every movement took effort. Her doctor's appointment had run short. The babies looked good. 4 strong heartbeats. She texted Derek but got no response. Nothing new there. The house was quiet, too quiet. Caroline set her purse on the kitchen counter. The sink was full of dishes. Derek's coffee mug from this morning. She touched it. Cold. He'd been gone for hours. "Derek?" she called. No answer. She headed upstairs. Each step felt like climbing a mountain. The babies pressed against her ribs. Baby A kicked. Hard. That one was always the most active. The bathroom door at the end of the hall stood slightly open. Light spilled into the hallway. Strange, Carolyn hadn't left it on. She pushed the door wider. Justine Harper stood next to the bathtub. Derek's assistant, 28 years old, blonde hair pulled back, wearing surgical gloves. The bathtub was filled with water. Ice floated on top. Bags of ice sat on the counter. Medical equipment. A blood pressure cuff. A thermometer. A timer. Caroline's brain couldn't process it. "What are you doing here?" Justine didn't look surprised. Her face was calm, almost peaceful. "He told me you'd be gone another hour." "Who told you?" But Caroline already knew. "Derek." Justine pulled off the gloves, dropped them in the sink. "We had everything planned. You weren't supposed to be here yet." Caroline backed toward the door. "I'm calling the police." "You won't make it to your phone." Justine moved between Caroline and the hallway. Fast. So much faster than a woman carrying 4 babies could move. Caroline's hand went to her belly, protective, instinctive. "What do you want?" "This," Justine gestured to the bathtub, "was supposed to look like an accident. You're 7 months pregnant. High risk. You slipped. Fell. The shock of cold water. It happens." The words didn't make sense. "You're insane." "I'm practical." Justine's voice was matter-of-fact. Teacher explaining a simple concept. "Derek and I are in love. We've been together for 18 months. But you got pregnant. 4 babies. Do you know how much child support that is? 18 years times 4. Caroline's chest tightened. "Derek knows about this?" "He helping me research it." Justine picked up a tablet from the counter. "Cold water immersion in the 3rd trimester. It can cause fetal distress, miscarriage. Sometimes it's fatal to the mother too. But that's a risk we're willing to take." "We." The word echoed. Caroline tried to scream. Justine's hand clamped over her mouth. Surgical glove taste. Latex and powder. Caroline bit down. Justine yelped but didn't let go. They struggled. Caroline's pregnant body was slow, heavy, awkward. Justine was young, strong, determined. The edge of the bathtub hit Caroline's lower back. Pain shot up her spine. She grabbed the shower curtain. It ripped. Plastic rings clattered. "Stop fighting." Justine's voice was strained now. "This will be easier if you stop." Caroline's heel connected with Justine's shin. A solid kick. Justine's grip loosened. Caroline twisted. Pushed. But gravity won. She fell backward into the bathtub. The ice water was a shock. Every nerve in Caroline's body screamed. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Cold wrapped around her like death. Her head went under. Water filled her nose, her ears. Everything went silent except the pounding of her heart. Justine's hands pressed down on her shoulders, holding her under. Caroline's lungs burned. The babies. She had to protect the babies. She pushed up, broke the surface for one gasping breath. Then Justine forced her down again. This is it, Caroline thought. This is how I die. Then a kick. Baby A, the strong one, the fighter, kicked so hard Caroline gasped. Water rushed into her mouth. But the movement, the proof of life, it gave her something, strength. Caroline grabbed the edge of the tub with both hands, pulled with everything she had. Her head broke the surface. She gulped air, coughed, water everywhere. Justine tried to push her down again, but the floor was wet now, slippery. Justine's feet went out from under her. She hit the tile, hard. Caroline dragged herself out of the tub. Water poured off her. Her clothes stuck to her skin. She was shaking, teeth chattering. The babies were moving, all of them, frantic movements against her belly. Stay alive, she whispered. Please stay alive. She crawled to the hallway, left a trail of water and ice. Her phone. Where was her phone? Downstairs, in her purse. Behind her, Justine groaned. Getting up, Caroline made it to the stairs. She grabbed the railing, pulled herself to standing. Took one step, then another. Her legs barely worked. Everything was cold. So cold. She heard Justine behind her. Caroline, wait. Let me explain. No time for explanations. Caroline reached the kitchen, grabbed her phone. Her fingers were numb. She could barely feel the screen. But she managed to dial. 911. 911, what's your emergency? Someone tried to kill me. Caroline's voice didn't sound like her own. I'm pregnant. 7 months. Quadruplets. She tried to drown me. Ma'am, where are you now? Caroline gave her address. The operator kept talking, asking questions. Caroline answered. She didn't remember what she said. The words came from somewhere else, behind her footsteps. Justine appeared in the kitchen doorway. Ma'am, is the attacker still there? The operator asked. Yes. Stay on the line. Police are 3 minutes away. Justine stared at Caroline. Not angry, almost sad. You weren't supposed to survive. I know. Caroline leaned against the counter. Water pooled around her feet. But I did. 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. Caroline stayed on the phone, kept her eyes on Justine. Neither of them moved. Then, sirens. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows. Justine sat down at the kitchen table, put her hands flat on the surface. I should probably get a lawyer. Probably. Oh, Caroline's vision was starting to blur. Everything hurt. Her back, her chest, her belly. The babies weren't moving as much. That scared her more than anything. The door burst open. Police officers, paramedics, so many people. Voices overlapping. Ma'am, can you hear me? I'm pregnant. We know. We're going to take care of you. They wrapped her in blankets, but she could not stop shaking. One paramedic took her blood pressure. Another put an oxygen mask over her face. A third attached monitors to her belly. 4 heartbeats. They needed to find 4 heartbeats. We've got all 4, someone said. Caroline closed her eyes. Thank you, she thought. Thank you, baby A. Thank you for kicking. She saw them arrest Justine. Handcuffs, Miranda rights. Justine didn't fight, just kept saying, I want my lawyer. The ambulance ride was a blur. Lights, sounds, the paramedic holding her hand. Stay with us, Caroline. Your babies need you to stay with us. I'm here. Caroline opened her eyes, focused on his face, young, maybe 25, kind eyes. I'm not going anywhere. But even as she said it, the world started to fade. Too much. It was all too much. Her body was shutting down. The cold, the shock, the trauma. The last thing she remembered was someone saying, we're losing her. Beeping, steady and rhythmic. Caroline opened her eyes. White ceiling, fluorescent lights. Hospital. She was in a hospital. A monitor stood next to the bed. 4 lines moving across the screen. 4 heartbeats. The babies. They were alive. Caroline? A woman's voice, gentle but official. Caroline turned her head. A woman in a police uniform sat in the chair by the window. 40-something, short brown hair, tired eyes. I'm Detective Linda Morrison. The woman stood, moved closer to the bed. You're safe now. You're in the hospital. Your babies are stable. Justine? Carolyn's throat was raw. In custody. She was arrested at the scene. Detective Morrison pulled out a notebook. Can you tell me what happened? Caroline told her every detail, the ice, the medical equipment, Justine's calm explanation, the drowning, the kick that saved her. Detective Morrison wrote it all down. Justine claims you attacked her first, says she was defending herself. That's a lie. I know. Detective Morrison closed her notebook. We found her research, websites about inducing miscarriage, medical journals about cold water shock, all accessed from her computer. She planned this. The door opened. Derek walked in, not running, not concerned, angry. What did you tell them? He demanded. Not, are you okay? Not, are the babies okay? Just, what did you tell them? Detective Morrison stepped between Derek and the bed. Mr. Bennett, your wife was just attacked. Maybe show some concern. I am concerned. But Derek's face said otherwise. Carolyn, what happened? Your girlfriend tried to kill me. Carolyn's voice was steady, stronger than she felt. She tried to drown me in a bathtub full of ice. That's insane. Justine wouldn't do that. She did. She told me you helped her plan it. Derek's face went pale. That's a lie. Was it? Detective Morrison pulled out her phone. Because we have some interesting text messages between you and Justine, talking about solving a problem. Dated 2 weeks ago. The room went silent. Derek looked at Caroline, really looked at her, and she saw it. The truth. He knew. Maybe not every detail, but he knew something was going to happen. Get out! Caroline's voice was ice, colder than in the bathwater. Get out of my room. Caroline, let me explain. Get out or I'll have you removed. Detective Morrison nodded to someone in the hallway. 2 uniformed officers appeared. Mr. Bennett, you need to leave. This is my wife. Those are my children. And this is a hospital. She doesn't want you here. Detective Morrison's hand rested on her belt, near her weapon. You can leave voluntarily or we can make it official. Derek stared at Caroline. She stared back. 8 years of marriage, and she'd never really known him at all. He left. Caroline waited until the door closed. Then she broke. Sobs that shook her whole body. The monitors beeped faster. The babies moved, agitated by her distress. Breathe, Caroline. Detective Morrison sat on the edge of the bed. I know it's hard, but you need to breathe for them. Carolyn tried. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The oxygen mask helped. Slowly her heart rate came down. The babies settled. The door opened again. Caroline tensed. But it wasn't Derek. Dr. Grace Sullivan walked in, 48 years old, Caroline's obstetrician for the last 2 years. The woman who'd gotten her through 3 failed IVF cycles before this miracle pregnancy. Carolyn, Dr. Sullivan's face was serious. We need to talk about the babies. Are they okay? For now, but your body went into severe shock. The cold, the trauma, you're at high risk for early labor. At 7 months with quadruplets, that's extremely dangerous. What do we do? Complete bed rest, here, in a free hospital. We'll monitor you around the clock. Any sign of distress, we're ready to deliver, but we want to keep them in as long as possible. Every day counts. How long? Ideally 9 more weeks, but with quadruplets, we'd be happy with 6. 6 weeks, 42 days. Caroline did the math. That put them at 34 weeks. Better than 7 months. Not great, but better. Okay, Caroline nodded. What do I need to do? Rest, stay calm, let us handle everything else. Easier said than done. Another knock. This time, a face Caroline actually wanted to see. Rebecca Crawford burst through the door. 33 years old, Caroline's best friend since college, graphic designer, coffee addict, the person who'd been there for every milestone, every heartbreak, every triumph. Oh my God! Becca rushed to the bed, stopped short when she saw all the equipment. Can I hug you? Will it hurt the babies? You can hug me. Becca did, carefully, like Caroline was made of glass. Maybe she was. I was in a client meeting when I saw the news alert, Becca said. Ice bath pregnant mom. That's you. You're ice bath pregnant mom. Apparently. Where's Derek? Becca looked around. Because I'm going to kill him. He was here. They kicked him out. Good. Becca pulled up the chair Detective Morrison had vacated. I'm staying. I'll sleep here. They can try to make me leave. Won't work. Becca, you have a job. I have a laptop. I can work from anywhere. Becca was already texting. Probably her boss. Probably saying she wouldn't be in for a while. You're not doing this alone. But that's what Caroline felt, alone. Her mother was in England, caring for Caroline's father. He was dying. Pancreatic cancer. Her mother couldn't leave him. Caroline hadn't even told her about the attack yet. Didn't want to add more stress. Derek's parents would be next. That would be fun. As if she'd summoned them, the door opened again. Margaret and Thomas Bennett, Derek's parents, 62 and 64, married 40 years. Margaret spoke first. What did you do to my son? Not, are you okay? Not, what happened? Just, what did you do? Your son's girlfriend tried to kill me, Carolyn said, voice flat, matter of fact. She tried to drown me in a bathtub full of ice water to cause a miscarriage. That girl was obsessed with Derek. Margaret waved a hand dismissively. None of this is his fault. He knew about it. That's ridiculous. But Margaret's eyes shifted, not quite meeting Caroline's gaze. Thomas Bennett hadn't said anything, just stood near the door, hands in his pockets, watching his wife. Mrs. Bennett, Dr. Sullivan said, voice cold, professional. Your daughter-in-law just survived an attempted murder. She's at high risk for losing 4 babies. If you can't be supportive, I suggest you leave. I'm just saying, Margaret continued, Caroline has been under a lot of stress with this pregnancy. Maybe she's confused about what happened. Get out. Caroline's voice was sharp, cutting. Get out of my room, now. I'm Derek's mother. I have a right to be here. No, you don't. Sir Sullivan pressed a button. A nurse appeared. Please escort Mrs. Bennett out. She's upsetting my patient. Margaret sputtered, protested, but the nurse was firm. Security was called. Margaret left, still talking, still defending Derek. Thomas Bennett remained. You should go too, Carolyn said. I know, but he didn't move. I just wanted to say something first. Carolyn waited. Thomas pulled a business card from his wallet, set it on the tray table next to the bed. Patricia Wells, best lawyer in the state. I already called her. She's expecting you. I can't afford the best lawyer in the state. It's taken care of. Thomas met her eyes. I raised my son to be better than this. I failed. That's on me, but I won't fail those babies. You protect them. Whatever you need, whatever it costs, call me. He left before Caroline could respond. Becca picked up the card. Thomas Bennett's not so bad. No. Caroline looked at the monitor. 4 heartbeats, strong and steady. He's not. That night was the hardest. Becca slept in the chair next to the bed, snoring softly. The hospital was never truly quiet. Footsteps in the hall, machines beeping, the rustle of nurses checking vitals. Carolyn lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. Derek's face when he'd walked in, not concerned. Angry, defensive, he knew. He knew and he didn't stop it. Carolyn's hands rested on her belly. 4 babies, 4 lives. Baby A kicked, the strong one, the fighter. Thank you, Caroline whispered. Thank you for saving us. She pretended to be asleep when her phone rang. Derek's name on the screen, lock, unlock, lock. 3 times, then she turned the phone face down. Didn't answer. Some conversations could wait. The medication drip beeped softly. Carolyn had been moved to the high-risk pregnancy ward, room 312, her new home. The walls were pale yellow. Someone had painted clouds on the ceiling, trying to make it cheerful. It didn't work. 5 days since the attack. The babies were stable. Carolyn was not. Every night at 3 a.m., she woke up, gasping, drowning, the phantom cold of ice water on her skin. She'd pull at her blankets, check her arms. Dry. She was dry. She was safe. But her body didn't believe it. Dr. Sullivan visited twice a day, morning and evening, checked the babies, checked Caroline's blood pressure, frowned at the monitors. Your pressure is too high, Dr. Sullivan said. We need you to relax. Someone tried to kill me 5 days ago. I know, but stress is dangerous for the babies. Carolyn knew that. Knowing didn't help. Becca had gone home. She had to. Work couldn't wait forever. But she called every hour, texted every 30 minutes, sent pictures of her cat, anything to keep Caroline connected to the world outside this room. The world outside kept intruding anyway. Detective Morrison returned. New information. The text messages were worse than they'd first seemed. Derek and Justine had been planning this for 2 weeks. The problem needs to be solved. I can't do another 18 years. She'll never agree to termination. They'd talked about Caroline like she was an obstacle, not a person, just something in the way. We're building a case against both of them, Detective Morrison said. Justine for attempted murder, Derek for conspiracy. Will it stick? With Derek, maybe. He didn't physically attack you. But he knew. The text proved that. It's enough for charges. Whether it's enough for conviction, that's up to a jury. A jury, a trial. Caroline would have to testify, tell strangers what happened in that bathroom. After Detective Morrison left, Caroline's phone buzzed. Text from Derek. We need to talk. She deleted it. Another text. You're overreacting. Justine was just trying to help. Help. That's what he called attempted murder. Help. Caroline blocked his number. The door opened. A nurse Caroline didn't recognize. Young, maybe 29. Bright smile despite the circumstances. Hi, I'm Amy Foster. I'll be your night nurse this week. Lucky you, Amy laughed. I've had worse. Last week I had a guy who thought he was Elvis. You're pregnant. That's way more normal. Despite everything, Caroline smiled. Amy checked vitals, changed the IV bag. Adjusted pillows. Little things that made a big difference. Can I ask you something, Amy said? And you can tell me to mind my own business. Okay. The guy who did this, your husband, do you think you missed signs or was he just good at hiding it? Caroline thought about that, really thought. Both, she finally said. He was good at hiding it, but I also didn't want to see. There were signs. I ignored them. What kind of signs? Carolyn leaned back against the pillows, closed her eyes, let the memories come. 2 years ago, before the IVF, before the babies, Derek had come home late. Again, his collar smelled like perfume. Not Caroline's perfume. Something floral. Expensive. Who was at the office party? Caroline had asked. Just the team. You know, the usual people. Except Justine had only started working for Derek's company 18 months ago. So 2 years ago, she wasn't there yet, which meant the perfume was someone else. Or Derek was already lying about where he'd been. Caroline had noticed, but she'd pushed it down, ignored it. Marriage meant trust, right? Then the separate bank accounts, Derek's idea. It's better for taxes, he'd said. My accountant recommended it. Caroline had agreed. Made sense, except now she knew. He'd been hiding money, preparing to leave. The separate accounts meant Caroline couldn't see the condo he'd leased for Justine. Couldn't see the expensive gifts. The weekend trips he'd claimed were business. The life insurance policy. 3 months ago, Derek had increased the coverage. On Caroline. Not on himself. $500,000. Just smart planning, he'd said. With the babies coming, we need to be prepared. At the time, it seemed responsible. Now it seemed like premeditation. Carolyn opened her eyes. Amy was listening. Not judging, just listening. I saw the signs, Carolyn said. I just didn't want to believe they meant what they meant. Easier to trust than to question. That's not weakness, Amy said. That's love. You loved him. You wanted to believe the best. And now 4 babies almost died because I was naive. No, Amy's voice was firm. 4 babies almost died because your husband and his girlfriend are terrible people. That's not on you. It didn't feel that way, but maybe someday it would. Night came. Amy dimmed the lights, brought extra pillows, made sure Caroline was comfortable. Try to sleep, Amy said. I'll be right outside if you need anything. Caroline tried, but sleep wouldn't come. She thought about the day she met Derek. 10 years ago, a coffee shop near her office. He'd bumped into her, literally, spilled coffee on her white blouse, apologized profusely, offered to pay for dry cleaning. They'd laughed about it. He'd bought her a new coffee. They'd talked for an hour. He was charming, successful, handsome, everything Caroline thought she wanted. Their wedding had been perfect. Small ceremony, close friends and family. Derek's vows made everyone cry. I promise to love you in sickness and in health, to stand by you through everything, forever. Forever lasted 8 years. The IVF had been hard. 3 failed cycles. Hormones that made Caroline feel crazy. The disappointment month after month. Derek had been supportive. Or so she'd thought. Looking back now with new context, Caroline remembered. The relief on his face when the first cycle failed. The way he'd suggested stopping after the second failure. The reluctance when Caroline pushed for a third try. And then success. 4 embryos, or 4 took. Quadruplets, 1 in 15,000 chance. Derek's face when the doctor told them. Not joy, horror. Are you sure, he'd asked. 4? That's not possible. But it was possible. 4 strong heartbeats, growing, thriving. That's when everything changed. Derek started working later, coming home less, his phone always face down. Calls he'd take in another room. Caroline had noticed, but she'd blame the pregnancy. Men get scared, it's normal. He'll come around when the babies are born. Except he wasn't planning to be there when the babies were born. He was planning for them not to be born at all. Caroline's hands moved to her belly, 4 distinct movements, 4 separate babies, each one fighting to be born. She remembered the moment in the bathtub, the moment baby A kicked, the strength of it, the determination. You saved us, Caroline whispered. You're going to be something special. At 2 a.m., Caroline gave up on sleep. She reorganized the nightstand, moved the flowers Becca had brought, arranged them by color. Red, pink, yellow, white, perfect rows. Then she folded the blankets Thomas Bennett had delivered, soft cashmere, baby blue and pale pink, 4 of them, 1 for each child. She folded and refolded until every corner was perfect, every edge aligned in control. She couldn't control what Derek did, what Justine did, what the courts would do, but she could control this. These small things, this tiny space, it wasn't much, but it was something. Amy checked on her at 3 a.m. Can't sleep? Nope. Want to talk? Not really. Want some terrible hospital coffee? Caroline smiled. Actually, yes. They sat together. Didn't talk about Derek, or Justine, or the attack. Just talked about normal things. Amy's cat who kept bringing dead mice to her bed. Caroline's failed attempt to grow tomatoes last summer. The weather, the new coffee shop that opened downtown. Normal things, that's what Caroline needed. To remember that normal still existed somewhere outside this hospital room. Dawn came, pale light through the window. Caroline watched the sun rise, pink and orange across the clouds someone had painted on her ceiling. She'd survived the night. The babies had survived. Today, that was that was enough. Attorney Patricia Wells carried herself like a general. She walked into Caroline's hospital room at exactly 9 a.m. Sharp gray suit, hair pulled back, briefcase that probably cost more than Caroline's car. I'm Patricia Wells. No handshake, no smile, straight to business. Thomas Bennett hired me. I've been reviewing your case. We need to talk. Becca had returned. She sat in her usual chair. Should I leave? No. Patricia set her briefcase on the tray table, pulled out a tablet. You're Rebecca Crawford, best friend since college. You'll likely be called as a character witness. You should hear this. Patricia didn't waste time. She laid out the situation. The evidence against Justine was overwhelming. The medical equipment, the research on her computer, the text messages, the physical evidence of Caroline's injuries. Justine will be convicted, Patricia said. That's not in question. The question is Derek. What about him? Caroline asked. The texts prove he knew something was happening, but proving he knew specifically about the murder attempt? That's harder. Good lawyers will argue he thought Justine was going to talk to you, convince you to terminate, not kill you. That's ridiculous. That's reasonable doubt. Patricia pulled up a document. But there's more. Derek increased your life insurance 3 months ago. He's been draining joint accounts. He leased a condo for Justine. He's been preparing to leave. All of that shows motive. So you can prove it? I can charge him. Conspiracy to commit murder. Financial fraud. Whether we can convict depends on the jury. Patricia's fingers moved across the tablet. There's something else. Justine's family has money. They've hired Marcus Reynolds. Should I know that name? Best criminal defense attorney in the state. He's never lost a case. He'll argue Justine was having a mental health crisis. That you attacked her. That she was defending herself and you fell into the tub accidentally. But the medical equipment, the research, that proves premeditation. He'll say she was researching pregnancy complications because she was concerned about you. The equipment was for monitoring. The ice bath was because you came home early and interrupted her before she could explain. Carolyn's stomach turned. People will believe that? Some will. Juries are unpredictable. Patricia closed the tablet. Which is why we need to be perfect. Every detail documented. Every timeline verified. Every witness prepared. What do you need from me? Everything. Every interaction with Derek and Justine. Every text, every email, every moment that seemed off. I need all of it. For the next 3 hours, Caroline talked. Patricia recorded everything. Dates, times conversations. The way Derek had insisted on that specific doctor's appointment time. The way he'd been unreachable during the window when Justine attacked. By noon, Caroline was exhausted. Patricia packed up her briefcase. That's enough for today. Get some rest. I'll be back tomorrow. After she left, Becca let out a long breath. She's intense. She is good. Yeah. Becca pulled out her phone, scrolled through something, frowned. Carolyn, there's something you should see. What? Derek did an interview. It aired this morning. Carolyn's heart sank. Show me. Becca pulled up the video. Derek sat in his parents' living room. Perfect hair, perfect suit, concerned expression. I'm worried about Caroline, he told the interviewer. This pregnancy has been very difficult for her. The hormones, the stress of carrying 4 babies. She's been erratic, emotional. I think she's confused about what happened. She claims your assistant tried to kill her. Justine was trying to help. Caroline has been having complications. High blood pressure, preeclampsia risk. Justine was a nursing student before she became my assistant. She was trying to help Caroline when Caroline attacked her. It was self-defense. The interviewer leaned in. But police found evidence of planning, research into inducing miscarriage. Taken out of context, Justine was researching how to help Caroline stay healthy. She was concerned. Derek's voice was smooth, convincing. I'm fighting for custody of my children, to protect them from a mother who's clearly unstable. The video ended. Caroline couldn't speak, couldn't move. 8 years of marriage, and he went on television. Lied to the entire country, called her unstable. God, I was so stupid. The words came out before she could stop them. The signs were all there. I ignored every single one. You weren't stupid, Becca said. You trusted your husband. That's what you're supposed to do. But trust was a luxury Caroline couldn't afford anymore. That night, the nightmares were worse. Not just the ice water. Now she dreamed of courtrooms, juries looking at her with skepticism. Derek's voice echoing. She's confused. She's unstable. She's erratic. She woke at 3 a.m., gasping, covered in sweat. Amy appeared within seconds. Bad dream? The worst kind, the ones based on reality. Amy helped her change into a dry gown, brought cold water, sat with her until the shaking stopped. Can I tell you something? Amy said. I saw that interview, your husband's interview. Carolyn tensed. And he's full of it. I've seen a lot of patients, women in crisis, women with postpartum psychosis, women actually having mental health emergencies. You're not one of them. How do you know? Because when someone's really unstable, really erratic, they don't make lists at 2 a.m. They don't reorganize flowers by color. They don't thank the nurses and remember everyone's name. You're traumatized. That's different. That's normal. That's human. It helped a little. The next morning brought news. Not good news. Detective Morrison arrived with an update. Justine made bail. What? Carolyn's blood pressure monitor started beeping. How? Her family posted bond, $500,000. She's out on house arrest. Ankle monitor. No contact order with you. But she's out. Carolyn felt sick. Justine was out there, free, while Caroline was trapped in a hospital bed. There's more, Detective Morrison said. She looked uncomfortable. Derek's mother filed a lawsuit. Grandparents' rights. She's suing for custody, claims you're unfit. She's using your hospitalization as evidence that you can't care for the babies. The room spun. She what? It's a long shot. Most judges won't side with the grandmother over the mother, especially in cases like this. But it's one more thing you'll have to fight. One more thing. As if attempted murder wasn't enough. After Detective Morrison left, Caroline lay in bed, staring at the monitor. 4 heartbeats, 4 reasons to keep fighting. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Stop lying about what happened. You know the truth. Justine. It had to be. Even with a no-contact order, she found a way. Caroline showed it to Amy. Can she do this? No. Forward it to your lawyer and the detective. That's a violation. Caroline did, but it didn't make her feel safer. Nothing did. At 2 a.m. she did what she always did. Made lists, everything she could control, baby names, legal documents needed, court dates, questions for Patricia, items for the hospital bag, writing, organizing, planning. The only things that made sense anymore. Baby A kicked, strong and determined. Caroline's hand moved to the spot. I know. We're going to survive this. I promise. She just had to figure out how. 3 a.m. the witching hour. Caroline lay awake. Again. Sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. Every time she closed her eyes, she was back in that bathroom. Ice water burning her skin. Justine's hands holding her under. 32 weeks now. The babies had made it further than anyone expected. Dr. Sullivan called them fighters. Said they were thriving despite everything. But tonight something was wrong. Baby A's heart rate was dropping. Not dangerously, but enough that the monitors kept alarming. Every few minutes, a sharp beep that made Caroline's own heart race. Amy checked the monitors. It's probably nothing. Baby A just found a position that compresses the cord slightly. Try shifting to your left side. Caroline shifted. The alarm stopped for 10 minutes, then started again. Dr. Sullivan was called. She came in, hair pulled back in a messy bun, still wearing her coat from outside. Let's take a look. The ultrasound was cold. Carolyn watched the screen. 4 babies, all moving, all alive. But baby A's movements were slower, lethargic. Is the baby okay? Carolyn asked. For now, but we're watching closely. Any more drops and we deliver. It's too early. 32 weeks with quadruplets isn't ideal, but they'd survive. NICU would take them. It would be hard, but they'd live. They'd live, that's what mattered. But Caroline wanted more than survival. She wanted them healthy, strong, ready for the world. After Dr. Sullivan left, Caroline lay in the dark, counting minutes between alarms. 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes. No pattern, just random drops that stopped her heart every time. Baby B kicked. Then baby C, baby D was quiet. Always the quiet one. I don't know if I can do this, Carolyn whispered to the darkness. No one answered. Becca had gone home for the night. Amy was at the nurse's station. Caroline was alone with 4 babies and a future that terrified her. What if she couldn't handle 4 infants? What if Derek won custody? What if Margaret's lawsuit succeeded? What if Caroline was as unstable as Derek claimed? The thoughts spiraled, faster and faster. Her chest tightened. Breathing became hard. The monitors started beeping. Different alarms this time. Her heart rate, her oxygen levels. Amy rushed in. Caroline, you're having a panic attack. I need you to breathe with me. I can't. Yes, you can. In through the nose. Count to 4. Out through the mouth. Count to 4. Carolyn tried, failed, tried again. The room was spinning. The monitors were too loud. Everything was too much. Dr. Sullivan appeared. Where had she come from? She should have gone home. But she was here, sitting on the edge of the bed, taking Caroline's hand. "You're having a completely normal response to trauma," Dr. Sullivan said, "but your babies need you to breathe, so we're going to breathe together." They did. In, 1, 2, 3, 4, out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly, the panic receded. The monitors quieted. Caroline's heart rate came down. "I don't know if I can do this," Caroline admitted. Single mother of 4. Fighting Derek, fighting his mother, testifying in court, working, paying bills. "I don't know if I can." Dr. Sullivan's response was simple. "You already are." "No, I'm lying in a hospital bed. That's not the same. You're growing 4 babies while recovering from attempted murder. You're fighting legal battles while on bed rest. You're planning their future while the present is chaos. You're doing it. You've been doing it alone for months. You just didn't know it." The words settled, heavy and true. The door opened. Becca stood there, still in pajamas, hair a mess. "Amy called me, said you needed me. You didn't have to come." "Shut up." Becca climbed onto the bed, carefully, avoided the IV lines, the monitors, the wires, wrapped her arms around Caroline. "You've been doing this alone for months. Derek hasn't been a husband in over a year. You just didn't want to see it." Caroline leaned into her friend, let the tears come, big, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. The babies moved, agitated by her distress, but she couldn't stop. All the fear, all the anger, all the betrayal. It poured out on me. "I knew," Caroline said between sobs. "I knew something was wrong. The late nights, the distance, the way he looked at me like I was a stranger, I knew. But I didn't want to lose him." "You didn't lose him," Becca said. "He lost you, and he'll regret that for the rest of his life." They sat like that. For how long, Caroline didn't know. Eventually the tears stopped. The babies settled. The monitors went quiet. Dawn came. Pale light through the window. Caroline watched the sunrise through her friend's arms. Amy brought coffee. Real coffee. Decaf. Doctor approved. "Thought you could use this." They didn't talk about Derek or Justine or the lawsuit. They just sat, drank coffee, watched the city wake up. First peaceful moment in days. At 7 a.m., Dr. Sullivan returned. "Baby A's heart rate stabilized. Whatever you did, keep doing it. I had a breakdown. Sometimes that's exactly what we need. The body can't hold trauma forever. It has to come out." Dr. Sullivan checked the monitors, made notes. "You're doing better than you think, Caroline. Trust yourself." After she left, Caroline did what she always did when overwhelmed. Made lists, baby names. She'd been thinking about this for weeks, never writing them down, afraid it was bad luck. But today, she wrote, "Baby A, the fighter, the one who kicked. Hope. Baby B, strong and steady. Thomas, for Derek's father, the only Bennett who deserved the name. Baby C, graceful and calm. Grace, for Dr. Sullivan. Baby D, quiet and observant. Bennett, to remember where they came from. But also Crawford, for Becca, the sister Caroline chose. 4 names, 4 lives, 4 reasons to keep breathing when breathing felt impossible." Caroline showed the list to Becca. Becca cried, "You're naming one after me?" "Middle name, hope that's okay." "That's more than okay." Becca wiped her eyes. "These babies are going to be so loved. You know that, right?" Caroline looked at the monitor. 4 heartbeats, strong and steady. "Yeah, I do." The panic wasn't gone. The fear wasn't gone. The trauma of that bathroom would never be completely gone. But for the first time since the ice water closed over her head, Caroline believed she might actually survive this. Not just survive, live 34 weeks. Viable. That's what Dr. Sullivan called it. At 34 weeks, babies can breathe on their own. Usually, with quadruplets, they'll probably need help, but they'd survive. Survive. That word again. Caroline was tired of survive. She wanted thrive, but she'd take what she could get. The hospital had become Caroline's world. Room 312, pale yellow walls, cloud ceiling, the same view out the window, same sounds, same smells, same monitors beeping day and night. She could walk now, 10 minutes at a time, down the hall, past other rooms. Other women with high-risk pregnancies, they'd become a strange sort of community, nodding and passing, understanding without words. Caroline's case was building. Patricia returned with updates every few days. The evidence was mounting. Justine's computer history is damning, Patricia said. She researched cold water immersion, miscarriage induction. She even looked up survival rates for 7-month fetuses. This wasn't impulse. This was calculated. And Derek? Harder. But we have the texts, the financial records, the life insurance policy, his calendar showing he kept you away intentionally that day. Circumstantial, but strong. What about the interview? Him calling me unstable? Patricia smiled, thin and dangerous. That was a mistake on his part. Now we can show bias, show he's trying to manipulate public opinion. It actually helps us. Small victories. Carolyn collected them like precious stones. Thomas Bennett visited twice a week, brought supplies, diapers, wipes, baby clothes. A trust fund. He'd set up accounts for all 4 babies. Enough for college, enough for life. You don't have to do this, Carolyn said. Yes, I do. Thomas sat in the visitor chair, looked older than he had 2 weeks ago. Margaret threatened to divorce me if I keep helping you. I'm sorry. Don't be. 40 years of marriage. Turns out I didn't know her at all. She's choosing Derek over those babies. Over what's right. That's not a woman I want to be married to anymore. He'd moved out, filed for separation. The Bennett family was imploding. I feel like I destroyed your family, Carolyn said. No, Derek did that. Justine did that. You're just the one telling the truth. That's not destruction. That's revelation. Another visitor Caroline hadn't expected. Rachel Harper, Justine's younger sister, 26 years old, nervous, guilty. I shouldn't be here, Rachel said. My family would kill me if they knew. Why are you here? Rachel pulled out her phone. Because I have recordings. Justine told me everything, bragged about it, how she researched the perfect plan, how Derek was going to marry hers, how the babies were the only obstacle. I recorded it. I didn't know what to do with it. Until now. Until I saw you on the news, saw Derek calling you unstable, saw my sister playing victim. I just couldn't let that stand. Rachel handed the phone to Patricia. 5 recordings. Justine's voice clear as day, explaining the plan, admitting to attempted murder, laughing about how perfect it would be. This is premeditation, Patricia said. This is motive. This is everything we need. After Rachel left, Caroline and Ace asked Patricia, why would she turn on her own sister? Sometimes family loyalty and moral truth can't coexist. She chose truth. That takes courage. The next day brought medical news. Dr. Sullivan ran tests, checked measurements, smiled for the first time in weeks. The babies are thriving, she said. All 4. Strong heartbeats, good growth. Baby A is still the strongest, that little fighter. How much longer? 2 more weeks minimum, 6 weeks ideal. But honestly, with quadruplets, any day past 36 weeks is a gift. 2 to 6 weeks. Caroline could do that. Small victories, making it to 34 weeks. Rachel's recordings, Thomas's support. The trust funds. Baby A's strong heartbeat. Caroline sat in the hospital courtyard. 10 minutes of fresh air, doctor approved. October sun warm on her face. Leaves turning gold and red. 4 babies moving inside her. She was going to survive this. They all were. The thought felt real for the first time. Her phone buzzed. Text from Patricia. Court date set. Restraining order hearing next week. Derek wants to be present at the birth. Caroline's peace evaporated. Of course he did. Of course he'd try to force his way into the delivery room after everything. She typed back, over my dead body. What the? Patricia's response, that's what we'll tell the judge. The hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. Carolyn would attend, in a wheelchair. 35 weeks pregnant with quadruplets. Let the judge see what Derek and Justine had tried to destroy. That night, Carolyn couldn't sleep. Not from nightmares this time. From anger. Pure, righteous, burning anger. Derek thought he could show up, thought he had rights, After what he'd let happen? No, absolutely not. At 2 a.m., Amy found Caroline sitting up in bed, writing. Can't sleep? Amy asked. Too angry to sleep. Good. Anger is useful. Anger gets things done. Caroline looked at her list. Everything Derek had done, every lie, every betrayal, every time he'd chosen Justine over his wife, over his children. I'm going to destroy him in court, Caroline said. Yes, you are. The restraining order hearing happened on a cold Tuesday morning. Caroline arrived in a wheelchair, 35 weeks pregnant, belly enormous with 4 babies, wearing a simple blue dress that Becca had brought. Derek arrived in a suit, his lawyer by his side, Margaret behind him. Thomas was notably absent. The courtroom was small, just a judge, a few observers, the lawyers. Caroline felt every eye on her pregnant body. Mr. Bennett, the judge said, you're requesting to be present at the birth of your children? Derek's lawyer stood. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Bennett is the father. He has a right to be there. Mrs. Bennett? The judge looked at Caroline. Your position? Patricia stood. My client requests a full restraining order. Mr. Bennett conspired with his mistress to murder Mrs. Bennett and cause a miscarriage. He is a danger to her and the children. That's outrageous, Derek's lawyer said. There's no evidence. Patricia pulled out the texts, the emails, the timeline, laid it all on the judge's desk. This is evidence. Mr. Bennett knew an attack was planned. He facilitated it. He is not a victim. He is a perpetrator. The judge read for a long time. The courtroom was silent. Derek fidgeted. Caroline watched him. 8 years of marriage. She'd loved this man, planned a life with him. Now she felt nothing, not even hate, just emptiness where love used to be. Finally, the judge spoke. Restraining order granted. Mr. Bennett is not to contact Mrs. Bennett, not to come within 500 feet of her, not to be present at the birth. Violation will result in immediate arrest. Derek stood, face red. This is insane. Those are my children. Sit down, Mr. Bennett. The judge's voice was ice. Or I'll hold you in contempt. Derek's lawyer pulled him down, whispered urgently. Derek shook his head, started to stand again. That's it. The judge banged the gavel. Mr. Bennett, you're in contempt. Bailiff, take him into custody. Everything happened fast. Derek yelling, the bailiff approaching, Derek pulling away. Another bailiff joining. Derek shoved one of them. He's assaulting an officer, Patricia said calmly. More bailiffs. Derek was handcuffed, still yelling, threatening Caroline, threatening the judge, making everything worse. Margaret rushed forward. You're making a mistake. My son is innocent. Your son just committed assault in my courtroom, the judge said. He'll spend the night in jail, possibly longer, depending on charges. They dragged Derek out, still yelling, still denying, still playing victim. The judge looked at Caroline. Mrs. Bennett, I'm sorry you had to see that. I'm not. Caroline's voice was steady. I needed to see it. The mask fell off. Everyone saw who he really is. After the hearing, Patricia wheeled Caroline to the van. That went better than expected. He lost control, showed his true nature, exactly what we needed. Patricia smiled. The next hearing will be even easier. On the drive back to the hospital, Caroline felt something shift, not physically, emotionally. Derek had shown everyone his rage, his entitlement, his complete disregard for consequences. And Caroline, she'd sat there calm, collected, in control. She wasn't the victim anymore. She was the witness, the survivor, the mother protecting her children. That night, Caroline slept. No nightmares, no panic, just sleep, deep and dreamless and peaceful. When she woke at dawn, baby A was kicking, strong and determined, the fighter. 2 more weeks, Caroline whispered. We just need 2 more weeks. Then we meet. Then everything changes. She couldn't wait. The morning of the scheduled C-section arrived like a gift. 36 weeks, quadruplets, a miracle by any medical standard. Caroline woke at 5 a.m. Couldn't sleep anyway. Today she'd meet them. 4 babies she'd carried through attempted murder, through bed rest, through legal battles, through everything. The surgery was scheduled for 8 a.m. Amy helped Caroline shower, the last shower before she became a mother. Strange to think about. Nervous? Amy asked. Terrified. That's normal, but you've got this. You've survived worse than childbirth. True, ice water and attempted murder were definitely worse than surgery. Becca arrived at 6:30, brought coffee, decaf. Caroline's last meal would be terrible hospital coffee and dried toast. Somehow fitting. How are you feeling? Becca asked. Like I'm about to meet four strangers who live inside me. Weird when you put it that way. Thomas Bennett arrived at 7, brought four teddy bears, blue and pink, traditional but sweet. Thought the babies should have something from their grandfather, he said. You didn't have to come. Yes, I did. Someone from this family should be here, doing what's right. He paused. Margaret sent a message. She wants to visit after the birth. No. I told her that, just wanted you to know. At 7:30, they wheeled Caroline to the operating room. Becca and Thomas went to the waiting room. Only medical staff allowed in surgery. The room was cold. Bright lights. Too many people. Dr. Sullivan was there. 4 pediatric teams. 1 for each baby, an anesthesiologist. Nurses. So many people. Ready? Dr. Sullivan asked. No, but let's do it anyway. They gave her the epidural, numb from the chest down, a strange feeling, being awake but disconnected from half your body. They put up a screen. Carolyn couldn't see the actual surgery, just the faces of the medical team. Focused, professional, occasionally smiling. We're starting, Dr. Sullivan said. Pressure, pulling, tugging, no pain, just the knowledge that they were cutting her open, taking out babies, creating life from her body. Then, a cry, high and thin and perfect. Baby A, Dr. Sullivan announced. It's a girl. Hope, the fighter, the one who kicked and saved them all. A nurse brought her over. Tiny, red, eyes squinting against the bright lights. She was placed on Caroline's chest for 30 seconds. Skin to skin, then whisked away to be checked. 5 pounds, 2 ounces. Healthy, breathing on her own. More pressure, more pulling. Another cry, deeper, louder. Baby B, Dr. Sullivan said. A boy. Thomas James. Strong lungs. 4 pounds, 15 ounces. Pink and perfect. More cries. Overlapping now, a symphony of new life. Baby C, another girl. Grace Eleanor. 5 pounds even, the biggest. Already trying to grab at the nurse's fingers. Baby D, another boy. Bennett Crawford. 4 pounds, 12 ounces. The smallest, quiet, watchful, dark eyes looking around like he was taking it all in. 4 babies, all breathing, all olive, all perfect. Dr. Sullivan finished the surgery, stitched Caroline up. The whole thing took 43 minutes. 43 minutes to bring 4 lives into the world. They wheeled Caroline to recovery. The babies were in the NICU standard procedure for multiples. They'd bring them to her room when she was stable. Becca was the first face Caroline saw. You did it. 4 babies, all healthy. I want to see them. Soon. Doctor's orders. You need to recover from surgery first. Thomas appeared, quiet joy on his face. Congratulations. You're a mother. A mother. The word felt huge, terrifying, amazing. 2 hours later, they brought the babies to Caroline's room. 4 isolettes on wheels, 4 tiny humans wrapped in blankets. Hope, Thomas, Grace, Bennett. Caroline touched each one, counted fingers, counted toes. 4 times 10 equals 40. Perfect. Which one kicked? She asked Dr. Sullivan. Baby A, Hope. She's been the strongest throughout. That baby saved all 5 of you. Caroline looked at Hope. Pink face, determined expression even in sleep. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for fighting. The first night was chaos. 4 babies, 4 feeding schedules, 4 diapers, 4 sets of needs. The nurses helped. Becca stayed. Thomas visited until visiting hours ended. Promised to return in the morning. At 3 a.m., all 4 babies were crying, different cries, different needs. Caroline was trying to feed Hope while Thomas Jr. screamed. Grace needed a diaper change. Bennett just wanted to be held. I can't do this, Caroline said. How do people do this? 1 baby at a time, Amy said. She'd volunteered for night shift. Knew Caroline would need help. You feed Hope, I'll change Grace. We'll get there. They did. Somehow. By 4 a.m., all 4 babies were settled. Sleeping, Caroline looked at them. 4 isolates in a row, 4 miracles. She'd done it. Survived the attack. Carried them to 36 weeks. Delivered them healthy. Every step people said would be impossible. She'd done it. Dawn came. Pale light through the window. Caroline hadn't slept. Didn't care. She just watched her babies, memorizing their faces, their tiny movements, the way Hope's fist clenched, the way Thomas's mouth moved in sleep, Grace's peaceful expression, Bennett's watchful eyes when he was awake. Her phone buzzed. Text from Derek's lawyer. Mr. Bennett requests hospital visitation to meet his children. Caroline deleted it. Another text. This one from Patricia. Derek's been released from jail, bail posted, stay alert. Restraining order is still active, but he might try something. He might try, but Caroline wasn't afraid. She looked at her babies. 4 reasons to be strong, 4 reasons to fight. 4 reasons Derek and Justine hadn't won. A knock on the door. Caroline tensed. But it was just Thomas, bringing coffee. Real coffee. From the good place downtown. Thought you could use this, he said. You're my favorite Bennett. I'm the only decent Bennett. He looked at the babies. They're beautiful. All of them. They are. Thomas sat in the visitor chair. Derek showed up at my house last night, after he made bail, wanted money for a better lawyer. What did you say? I told him to leave. That he's not my son anymore. That these babies are my legacy now, not him. Carolyn felt tears sting in her eyes. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me. This is what family does. Real family. Not the kind you're born into. The kind you choose. That afternoon, security stopped someone at the hospital entrance. Derek, trying to get to the maternity ward, violating the restraining order. Again. Security called the police. Derek was arrested. Again. Patricia called with an update. That's his 3rd violation. Judge won't be lenient. He's looking at real jail time. Good. Let him sit in a cell. Let him understand that actions have consequences. Caroline focused on what mattered. 4 babies. Learning to feed them. Change them. Soothe them. Distinguish their cries. Hope's cry was sharp, demanding. Feed me now. Thomas's cry was steady, rhythmic. I need you. Grace's cry was almost musical. Please, help. Bennett's cry was soft, easily missed if you weren't listening. 4 distinct personalities. 4 individual souls. By the 3rd night, Carolyn felt like she might actually survive this. Not just survive, manage. Amy taught her how to feed 2 babies at once. Football hold, 1 on each side. It felt awkward, but it worked. Thomas Bennett brought a night nurse. Full-time, already vetted, already hired. You need sleep, he said. Let someone help. The nurse's name was Dorothy, 60 years old, 20 years of experience with multiples. She took night shift. Let Caroline sleep in 4-hour chunks. Luxury, pure luxury. On day 4, Dr. Sullivan cleared them for discharge. The babies are healthy. You're recovering well. Time to go home. Home. The house she'd shared with Derek. The house where Justine had tried to kill her. I can't go back there, Carolyn said. Then don't. Thomas handed her a key. I bought you a house. 3 bedrooms. Good school district. Nursery already set up. It's yours. No strings. No mortgage. Just take it. Caroline stared at the key. I can't accept this. You already did. Papers are signed. House is in your name. You're not going back to that place. To those memories. You're starting fresh. Sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you need and exactly when you need it. They loaded 4 car seats into Thomas's van. 4 babies. 4 diaper bags. 4 everything. The drive to the new house took 20 minutes. Carolyn had never seen it before. Thomas had handled everything. It was perfect. Small. Cozy. Safe. The nursery had 4 cribs. 4 changing tables. 4 of everything organized by color. Blue for the washes, pink for the girls. Becca was already there. Organizing, setting up, making it home. Welcome home, she said. Home, a new word, a new place, a new life. Carolyn stood in the nursery. 4 babies sleeping in 4 cribs. Safe. Alive. Hers. "We made it," she whispered. "We actually made it." Hope stirred, tiny fist reaching toward nothing. Or maybe toward everything. Toward life. Toward the future. Carolyn reached into the crib, held her daughter's hand, the hand that had belonged to the baby who kicked, who fought, who saved them all. "Thank you," Carolyn said. "My little warrior." Hope's fingers wrapped around Caroline's thumb. Strong grip, determined grip. A fighter from the beginning, just like her mother, 6 weeks. The babies were 6 weeks old. Carolyn had learned a new definition of exhaustion. 4 babies meant someone was always awake, always hungry, always needing something. Dorothy handled nights, but days were all Caroline. With help from Becca and Thomas, and an army of volunteers Becca had somehow recruited, Hope was exactly as her name suggested. The fighter, first to hit milestones, first to smile, first to recognize Caroline's voice. Thomas Jr. was cautious, studied everything before reacting. Rarely cried, but when he did, it was serious. Grace was social, smiled at everyone. Loved being held, would settle for anyone willing to give attention. Bennett was the observer, quiet, watchful, content to sit and take in the world. 4 completely different personalities, 4 completely different people. The trial date was set, Justine first, then Derek, 2 separate trials, 2 separate juries. Patricia said it was better this way. Let Justine's conviction pave the way for Derek's. Caroline would testify in both. The night before Justine's trial, Caroline couldn't sleep. Not because of the babies. Dorothy had them. Because tomorrow she'd walk into a courtroom, face Justine, tell strangers what happened in that bathroom. At 2 a.m. she called Becca. "Can't sleep?" Becca answered immediately. "How did you know?" "Because I can't either. I'll be there tomorrow. Front row, you won't be alone." "Thank you." "Stop thanking me. That's what family does." Family. The word had expanded. Becca, Thomas, Dorothy, Amy, who still texted daily, Rachel Harper, who'd turned on her own sister for the truth. Blood didn't make family. Choice did. The courthouse was imposing. Gray stone. Too many stairs. Patricia met Caroline at the entrance. "Ready?" "No." "Good. Nervous witnesses are believable witnesses." The courtroom was packed. Media, observers, Justine's family in the back. Rachel sat on Caroline's side. The divide was clear. Justine sat at the defense table. Orange jumpsuit, hair pulled back, expressionless, like she was watching something boring on television. Not her own murder trial. The prosecution went first, laid out the evidence, the texts, the research, the medical equipment, the timeline, the recordings Rachel had provided. Justine's voice played in the courtroom. Clear as day. "It's the perfect plan. Cold water causes fetal distress. I researched it. At 7 months, it could cause miscarriage. Even if it doesn't, the shock might kill her. Then Derek and I can be together." The jury looked horrified. Then it was Caroline's turn. Patricia called her to the stand. Caroline walked up, slow, still recovering from the C-section, still learning to be a mother of 4. She swore to tell the truth. Sat down, faced the courtroom. "Mrs. Bennett," Patricia said, "can you tell us what happened on October 15th? Caroline told them. Every detail. Coming home early, finding Justine, the ice bath, the medical equipment, the calm explanation, the struggle, the drowning, the kick that saved her." "Which baby kicked?" Patricia asked. "Baby A, Hope, my daughter. She kicked so hard I gasped. It gave me enough strength to fight back. If Hope hadn't kicked, what would have happened? I would have died. All 4 babies would have died." The courtroom was silent. Justine's lawyer cross-examined, tried to shake Caroline's story, suggested she'd misunderstood, that Justine was trying to help, that Caroline attacked first. "Is it possible," the lawyer said, "that you were confused? Pregnancy hormones, high stress. Maybe you misinterpreted Justine's actions?" Caroline looked at him, then at the jury. "I wasn't confused. Justine held me underwater. She told me she'd researched how to cause a miscarriage. She said Derek helped her plan it. Those aren't things you misinterpret." But you have no proof Derek was involved in this specific plan. That's what his trial is for. This trial is about Justine, who tried to kill me and my babies, who planned it for weeks, who had medical equipment ready. That's not confusion. That's attempted murder. The lawyer tried again, pushed harder, but Caroline didn't break. She'd survived worse than a defense attorney. After her testimony, the prosecution called medical experts, explained what cold water immersion does to pregnant women, the risks, the dangers, the likelihood of fetal death. They called Detective Morrison, who walked through the evidence, the timeline, the research on Justine's computer. They played Rachel's recordings, all 5. Justine laughing about the plan, bragging about how perfect it would be. The defense tried, called character witnesses, Justine's mother, her friends, all saying Justine was kind, caring, wouldn't hurt anyone. But the recordings contradicted everything. The trial lasted 3 days. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty, attempted murder, assault, conspiracy, multiple counts. Sentencing happened a week later. The judge looked at Justine. No expression, just facts. You planned to murder a pregnant woman and 4 unborn children. You researched methods. You prepared equipment. You carried out the attack. The only reason Mrs. Bennett survived is because one of her babies kicked hard enough to give her strength to fight back. That's not your mercy. That's not your conscience. That's luck. And you don't deserve luck. The judge sentenced Justine to 25 years minimum, eligible for parole in 20, but not guaranteed. 25 years. Justine would be 53 when she got out. Carolyn's babies would be 25. Adults, safe from her forever. Carolyn felt something release. Not happiness, not satisfaction, just relief. One threat neutralized. Derek's trial was next. That one was harder. The evidence was circumstantial. He hadn't physically attacked Carolyn, hadn't been in the bathroom. But the texts, the timeline, the life insurance, the financial records, all pointed to conspiracy. Caroline testified again, this time about Derek, about the distance, the lessee, the separate bank accounts, the way he'd insisted on that specific doctor's appointment time. Do you believe Derek knew about the attack? Patricia asked. Yes. Why? Because of the texts, because he kept me away from home at the exact time Justine needed, because he increased my life insurance 3 months before, because he was preparing to leave but couldn't afford child support for 4 babies, because when he came to the hospital, he wasn't concerned. He was angry that I'd survived. The courtroom gasped, but it was truth. Derek's lawyer fought hard, argued Derek thought Justine was going to convince Caroline to terminate the pregnancy, not kill her, that the texts were about persuasion, not murder. But the jury saw through it. Derek was convicted. Conspiracy to commit murder, financial fraud, witness intimidation for the interview where he called Caroline unstable. 20 years, eligible for parole in 15. When the verdict was read, Derek stood, yelled at the judge, at Caroline, blamed her for everything. Security removed him, still yelling, still denying. The mask had fallen off completely. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. Caroline gave one interview. Just one. This trial wasn't about revenge, she said. It was about justice, about protecting my children, about making sure Derek and Justine can never hurt anyone else. They tried to erase us, but we survived. We're thriving, and every day since has been a gift I almost didn't get. The interview went viral, not because of drama, because of truth. That night, Caroline sat in the nursery, 4 babies sleeping, safe, protected. Margaret Bennett's custody lawsuit had been dismissed. The judge had looked at Margaret's support of Derek, her defense of attempted murder, her choice to side with her son over her grandchildren's safety. You have no place in these children's lives, the judge had said. One by one, the threats were neutralized. Justine in prison, Derek in prison, Margaret banned from contact. The restraining orders permanent. Carolyn's phone buzzed. Text from Thomas. Proud of you. Those babies are lucky to have you. She typed back. They're lucky to have you too. Thank you for being the grandfather they deserve. Another text. This one from Rachel Harper. Thank you for being brave enough to testify. I'm sorry my sister is who she is, but I'm grateful you survived. Carolyn responded, thank you for choosing truth over family loyalty. That took more courage than anything I did. Family, chosen family, real family. At midnight, Hope woke up, crying, hungry. Caroline picked her up, settled into the rocking chair, fed her daughter. You saved us, Carolyn whispered. That kick, that fight, you saved us all. Hope's eyes locked on Carolyn's face. Newborn gaze, unfocused but trying, seeing her mother, recognizing love. We're going to be okay, Carolyn said. All five of us, we're going to be more than okay. Hope's tiny hand grabbed Caroline's finger. Strong grip, fighter's grip, just like in the bathtub. Determined, refusing to let go. Caroline rocked her daughter, sang quietly, an old lullaby, the one her own mother used to sing. Outside, the world was complicated. Trials, media, recovery, single motherhood, bills, responsibilities, everything that came with living. But in this moment, in this room with this baby, everything was simple. They'd survived against impossible odds, against attempted murder, against betrayal, against everything. They'd survived, and now they were living, really living. 3 months. The babies were 3 months old. Carolyn had found a rhythm, not an easy rhythm, but a rhythm nonetheless. Wake at 6, feed 4 babies, change 4 diapers, get 4 babies back to sleep if lucky, shower if very lucky, coffee, always coffee. Dorothy handled nights. Thomas visited every Sunday, brought supplies, held babies, told them stories about their mother's strength. Never mentioned Derek, just focused on the present. Becca came for dinner every Wednesday, brought takeout, helped with bedtime, stayed until all 4 were settled. Rachel Harper became an unexpected friend. She babysat occasionally, couldn't undo her sister's actions, but tried to make amends in small ways. Caroline's mother had returned from England. Her father had passed. Pancreatic cancer finally won. She stayed for 2 weeks, helped with the babies, cried over what she'd missed, what Caroline had survived alone. I should have been here, her mother said. You were where you needed to be. Dad needed you more. But you were drowning. And I swam. I'm still swimming. The marketing firm had offered Caroline her remote position back. Flexible hours, full benefits. They'd followed her story in the news, wanted her back. She started part-time, 20 hours a week, worked during naps, during Dorothy's shifts, late at night when the babies were sleeping. Money was tight, but manageable. Thomas's trust funds helped. Caroline's salary covered the rest. They weren't rich, but they weren't drowning either. Small victories. That's what life was now, stringing together small victories. Hope hitting a milestone first, always first. Rolled over at 2 months, started babbling at 10 weeks. Determined, driven, living up to her name. Thomas Jr.'s first real smile. Not gas, not reflex. An actual smile at his mother's face. Grace's laugh, full-bodied baby laugh that made everyone else laugh too. Bennett's quiet contentment, the way he'd stare at ceiling fans for hours, finding peace in simple things. 4 babies, 4 personalities, 4 lives Caroline was responsible for. The weight of it hit her sometimes, usually at 3 a.m. when the exhaustion was crushing, when all 4 were crying, when she couldn't remember which baby had eaten and which hadn't. But then hope would kick. Not violently like in the bathtub, just a normal baby kick against Caroline's side when she held her. A reminder. We survived, we fight. Social media had found Caroline. Ice Bath Mom had become an accidental advocate. Women messaged her, stories of survival, abuse, trauma, asking how she did it. Caroline's answer was always honest. 1 day at a time, 1 baby at a time, 1 breath at a time. She started a blog, not about revenge, about reality. The reality of single motherhood, of quadruplets, of surviving trauma and still having to function. It resonated. Thousands of followers, then tens of thousands. Women who saw themselves in Caroline's story. A publisher reached out, wanted to turn the blog into a book. Caroline was considering it, but not yet. Too soon, too raw. The anniversary approached. 1 year since the attack, since the ice bath, since Hope's kicks saved them all. Caroline wasn't sure how to mark it. Celebrate that she survived? Mourn what she lost? Ignore it completely? Thomas suggested something different. Plant a tree, something living, something that grows. That's what you did. You didn't just survive, you grew. So they did. Caroline, Thomas, Becca, Rachel, and 4 babies in strollers. They planted a tree in Caroline's backyard, an oak, strong, enduring, deep roots. This tree will be here when the babies graduate high school, Thomas said. When they get married, when they have children of their own. This tree is permanence. That's what you built, not survival. Permanence. The word settled, heavy and true. That night, Caroline wrote in her journal something she'd started in the hospital, recommended by her therapist. Write the trauma, write the healing, write the truth. She wrote about the tree, about permanence, about the life she'd built from the ashes of attempted murder. She wrote about Derek, not with hate, with pity. He'd thrown away everything for an obsession with Justine, and now he'd spend 20 years watching life pass by from a cell. She wrote about Justine, the woman who tried to kill her, who'd had everything and wanted more, who'd confused obsession with love. 25 years, half a lifetime, gone. And she wrote about herself, the woman she'd been, the woman she'd become. Before, Caroline had been someone's wife, Derek's wife. That was her identity. Now she was Hope's mother, Thomas's mother, Grace's mother, Bennett's mother. She was a survivor, an advocate, a writer, a woman who'd faced death and chosen life. The woman she was now, she liked her better. At midnight, Hope woke up. Caroline went to the nursery, picked up her daughter, the fighter, the one who started everything. "Happy anniversary," Caroline whispered. 1 year since you kicked. 1 year since you saved us. Hope looked at her mother, eyes more focused now, recognizing, knowing. "You're going to be something special," Caroline said. "You're going to be brave, strong, kindoayo. Everything your father and Justine weren't at." She fed Hope, rocked her, sang the lullaby. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. 4 babies who'd eventually become 4 toddlers. 4 toddlers who'd become 4 children. 4 children who'd ask questions about their father, about what happened, about what, about why. Caroline would tell them the truth, age-appropriate truth, but truth nonetheless. You can't build a life on lies. Caroline had learned that the hard way. But tonight, right now, in this moment, everything was okay. 4 babies sleeping, 1 mother surviving, 1 found family supporting, 1 new life built from the wreckage of the old. Caroline looked around the nursery. 4 cribs, 4 changing tables, 4 of everything. This was her life, not the one she'd planned, not the one she'd dreamed of as a young woman falling in love with Derek. This life was harder, messier, more complicated. But it was real. It was hers, and she'd fought for every piece of it. Hope settled back into her crib. Caroline watched for a moment. The rise and fall of her daughter's chest, the tiny fingers curled into fists, ready to fight even in sleep. "Thank you," Caroline whispered, "for kicking, for fighting, for saving us." She turned off the light, left the nursery, went to her own room. Tomorrow would come, with all its challenges, its exhaustion, its chaos. But tonight she'd done it, survived another day, fed 4 babies, kept 4 lives safe and loved. That was enough, more than enough. That was everything. 1 year later, Caroline stood in her kitchen, coffee in hand, morning sun streaming through the windows, 4 toddlers in high chairs, eating breakfast, making a mess. Hope threw oatmeal. Of course she did. Thomas Jr. studied his spoon like it was a scientific instrument. Grace clapped sticky hands together, delighted by the sound. Bennett watched it all, taking it in, processing in his quiet way. "This is chaos," Becca said. She'd stayed over after Wednesday dinner turned into a sleepover. "This is life," Caroline corrected. 4 babies had become 4 1-year-olds. Walking. Well, 3 walking. Bennett was still perfecting crawling, talking, Sort of. Mostly babbling, but definitely communicating. Hope said mama first, obviously. Always first. Thomas said no first, which felt appropriate. Grace said hi to everyone, strangers, sailing fans. Bennett said nothing, just watched, absorbed. When he finally did talk, Carolyn suspected it would be in full sentences. The blog had become a book. When Hope Kicked, a mother's story of survival, it released 2 months ago, became a bestseller, not because of drama, because of honesty. Caroline told the truth, the good, the bad, the ugly, the exhaustion, the fear, the anger, the healing, all of it. Women wrote to her thousands of messages. Thank you for showing it's okay to not be okay. Thank you for proving we can survive. Caroline became an accidental advocate for domestic violence survivors, for trauma victims, for single mothers, for anyone who'd ever felt trapped. She spoke at conferences, gave interviews, told her story over and over, not for fame, for the women who needed to hear it. But today was special. No speaking engagements, no interviews, just family. Thomas Bennett arrived at 10, bringing his new wife, Patricia. The lawyer and the father-in-law had become unlikely partners, both severed from their old lives, both building new ones. How are my grandchildren? Thomas asked. Chaotic, perfect, the usual. Thomas picked up Hope. She immediately grabbed his glasses. He didn't mind. The doorbell rang. Rachel Harper, with her new girlfriend. They'd started dating 6 months ago. Rachel had found her own healing in choosing truth over family loyalty. Is there anything you need? Rachel always asked. Just company. Always company. Amy arrived next, the nurse who'd stayed with Caroline through those dark hospital nights. She'd become Aunt Amy to the babies. Visited monthly, brought practical gifts like diapers and wipes. By noon, the house was full. Chosen family, real family. People who showed up, who stayed, who chose each other deliberately. They had lunch, sandwiches, nothing fancy. 4 toddlers meant fancy was impossible. After lunch, they went to the backyard. The oak tree had grown, still small, but rooted, strong. It's bigger, Caroline said. Things that survive usually are, Thomas replied. They took photos. 4 toddlers near the tree, 4 little lives, 4 miracles. Hope tried to eat leaves. Thomas Jr. studied bark patterns. Grace wanted to climb everything. Bennett sat contentedly in the grass. 4 completely different people, all connected by that moment in the bathroom. That kick, that choice to fight. That evening, after everyone left, Caroline sat on the couch. 4 exhausted toddlers sprawled around her. 3 actually asleep. Hope was still fighting it, eyes drooping, but refusing to close. You always fight, Caroline said. Even sleep, you fight everything. Hope's eyes finally closed, tiny chest rising and falling. At peace, Caroline's phone buzzed. Email notification. From a woman named Jennifer. Another survivor, another story. I'm in that bathtub right now, Jennifer wrote. Not literally, but metaphorically, trapped, scared, pregnant, alone. Your book showed me I can survive. Can you tell me how? Caroline typed back, carefully, honestly. One day at a time, one decision at a time. The first step is always the hardest. But you take it anyway, not because you're brave, because the alternative is staying trapped. And you deserve better. You deserve to survive, to thrive, to live. She hit send, knowing her words wouldn't fix everything, but maybe they'd help, the way others' words had helped her. At midnight, Caroline did her nightly check. 4 cribs, 4 sleeping babies, 4 steady breaths. She stood in the doorway, watching, remembering. 2 years ago, she was drowning in ice water, dying, certain she'd never see another day. Now she was here. 4 babies, healthy, safe, loved. The journey hadn't been linear. There were still hard days. Days when the trauma crashed over her like waves. Days when she couldn't get out of bed. When the weight of everything was too much. But those days were fewer now, further apart. Healing wasn't a destination. It was a process. Ongoing, imperfect, real. Caroline closed the nursery door, went to her own room, climbed into bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. 4 toddlers meant constant chaos. Work deadlines, bills, life. But tonight she'd done it. Kept 4 children safe and loved. Helped another survivor take a first step. Lived another day in the life she'd fought so hard to build. She thought about Derek, in prison, 15 more years before parole eligibility. She didn't hate him, didn't love him, just felt nothing. He was a stranger who'd once worn a familiar face. She thought about Justine, 24 more years in prison. She'd be 53. The babies would be adults, safe from her forever. The threats were neutralized. The danger passed. Life was just life now. Hard, beautiful, messy, real. Caroline closed her eyes. Let sleep come. Tomorrow, Hope would wake her at 6, demanding breakfast, demanding attention, demanding life. And Caroline would get up. Because that's what mothers do, what survivors do, what warriors do. They get up, they show up, they fight, one day at a time, one baby at a time, one breath at a time. The prison door had been unlocked all along. Derek was the warden. Justine was just the key that showed Caroline she could walk out. Her babies gave her the reason, but Caroline saved herself. She always had that power. She just had to nearly die to find it. Hope kicked, she fought. They survived them. And every day since had been a gift she almost didn't get. But she did get it. She fought for it. She earned it. And she'd spend the rest of her week up making it count. For Hope, for Thomas, for Grace, for Bennett, for every woman drowning in her own ice bath, metaphorical or real. For everyone who needed to know, you can survive, you can thrive, you can live. Not despite the trauma, with it, through it, beyond it. Caroline's last thought before sleep took her was simple. Tomorrow she'd wake up, she'd feed her babies, she'd work, she'd live. And that was enough, more than enough. That was everything. Caroline's story reminds us that survival isn't about being fearless. It's about fighting when everything seems impossible. If this story moved you, hit that like button. It helps other women who need to hear this find their way here. Drop a comment below. Tell me which moment hit you hardest. Was it the kick, the courtroom, the moment she planted that tree? And subscribe, because every week I bring you stories of real survival, real strength, real women who refuse to give up. Your support means these stories get heard, these voices get amplified, these survivors get seen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing this journey. Until next time, remember, you're stronger than you know, and you're never alone.